So here is your challenge. You have been tasked to organize a chess tournament between those players, and each player will play the other players 2 times. One time he will use the white set, and one time he will use the black set. So how would you do this? Obviously, the manual methodology is very cumbersome and difficult, and if the number of players suddenly increase, you will have a big problem. So for example, if I want to do this manually, I'll take Robert, I'll put Robert here, then I'll copy paste this data, put it here, then drag this. Then I'll do the same with Sarah, so Sarah will be here. I'll take the rest, put it here. The problem is that Sarah cannot play against Sarah because it's the same person. So you will have to take this up, then you delete, and then you just drag Sarah. And it's very cumbersome. So let me show you a methodology with Power Query. With just a few clicks, you'll be able to do this. And the beauty of it is that it will auto-update if you add players. So first of all, I'm going to transform this into an Excel table. So I will go to Insert, Table. My table has headers, and I'm going to call this table Player List. Enter. So now we have an Excel table. Next, I'm going to go to Data. You have this tab, Get and Transform Data. If you don't have it, it means your Excel version is older than 2016. But fortunately, there is a free add-in called Power Query. You can just install it and get the options. So I'm just going to select anything inside my table. I'm going to click here on From Table Range. And here Power Query has loaded the players. So I don't need to do anything here. I'm just going to go close and load to. And then I'm just going to say only create connection. Why? Because I already have the data. I don't want to download the data again in my Excel sheet. So I'm going to say OK. And here you will see that you got one connection with player list. So this is one part of the job. The second part is to load the players again, because now I want to say that Robert is going to play against this player list. So I'm just going to click here. I'm going to do data. Again, same thing. If you see here, we had player list, which is my first connection. This one, I'm going to call it end result, so we don't get lost with names. And I can see that I have the players again. What I'm going to do is add a column. So we're going to do add column, custom column. And here we're going to call it opponent. And we're going to use what? Player list, which is the connection I created before. So I start typing player list. I have it here. It has one column, so we are fine. We say OK. And we get an opponent column with a table. For each cell, I have a table. If I click on the table, I will see all the players. You see Robert, Sarah, Biba, etc. So what I could do is click here, and then I'm going to expand it, but I don't want to use original column name as prefix. So let's untick this, and let's say OK. And you can see it's like magic. Now Robert got duplicated, and I get the whole list. Robert, Sarah, etc. Now I have one problem. As you can see, I don't want Robert to play against Robert. So what can I do? I can add another column here to compare whether this is equal to this. So let's just call this opponent. So let's do it. Let's add a column, custom column. We're going to call it data check, and we're going to do if the first column that I have in this data set is players, right? So we just type, and then we have players, we select it, is equal to, the second column is opponents. So opponent, we have it here, we select it. If it's the same, then I want the value 1. Otherwise, I want to type 0. So we get a new column, and every time we have the repeated name, we will get a 1. So now it becomes very easy. I can just unselect the ones. So now you see Robert versus Robert is gone. Sarah versus Sarah is gone. Once I've done this, I don't need this column anymore. I will select it, right click and do remove. And then I can just do home, close and load to. I'm going to say existing worksheet and I'm going to select this cell and I'll say OK. And as you can see, I get all the combinations. Now the good news is that if you want to add somebody, for example, you can put Joel, a new player. If you just right click and do refresh, you will see that the data will refresh. So now you see you have Robert versus Joel, you have Sarah versus Joel, and so on. So this is how you can use this concept for repeated values instead of just doing some data manipulations, using formulas, etc. With just a few clicks, you can get it from Power Query. So please let me know any other situation you face where you have to do repeated values and some of the challenges you might have. And as usual, it would be amazing if you can just like this video and subscribe to the channel.